GingerGM.
Well, hello again. After the disappointment of the last long play game I played, I mean, who knows whether he's cheating or not, but if he wasn't cheating, he played like a Magnus Carlsen on drugs. I've decided to try again, but this time I'm playing someone I can trust, and that is the other half of GingerGM, Simon Ansell. Simon Ansell, you may have seen I played him before in a long play game, very interesting game. I'm going to challenge him again now. He's an international master from England. I think he's got a Grandmaster norm, so he's a very good player. And it's just us two really who run GingerGM, so we're very busy normally. So if we don't always respond to your emails in time, I'm sorry. It's we do our best, but there's a lot of emails coming through. So I'm going to give Simon a challenge now, and let's now custom challenge, and then we will be ready to... Okay, has that come through? I'll just have to tell him he's not accepting challenges. Not accepting challenges. He just needs to change his settings. Need to change your settings. Doesn't even want to play me now. And the idea is, when we played the game, I'm going to give my thoughts during the game. And then after the game is finished, like before, we're going to get Simon Ansell on Skype. And he's then going to give his thoughts on the game as well. So you're going to get my thoughts first, Grandmaster thoughts. I'll tell you how I'm thinking. And Simon, we're going to get his thoughts and both our thoughts. So you're going to get double the power. And of course, the idea of these videos is to help you improve. So, you know, you're learning from a Grandmaster and an International Master here. So you're trying to get into our mind, and you might pick up sort of bits of advice and you know, tidbits as we go along. So that's the main idea, and I think, you know, this has proved to be pretty useful in the past when I've done these. Okay, so I had the black pieces, and Simon is generally an e4 player, so I'm expecting e4, and now we will see. And he's got the white pieces. Yeah, he's obviously on Skype saying white pieces, woohoo. He normally always gets black against me. I think I've played Simon 4 times in competitions, and every time in international competitions, and every time he has the black pieces. He's getting a bit sick of it. Okay, well, I could do the French, but I've had so many games against Simon and the French that I think I'll try something a little bit different today. You rarely see me playing the Sicilian, so let's give the Sicilian a go. I can't recall what Simon actually plays against the Sicilian. I don't know what lines he generally plays. I'm thinking he won't go main line because Simon doesn't do a lot of work on his chess. I say that, he's now trying to get ready for main line. He might well play this, but I know theoretically Simon he just doesn't have the time to look at many openings. He's got a young kid, and he does lots of work for GingerGM and other things. So, okay, well, let's see. So I'm going to play d6, which offers the open Sicilian with d4, one of the most exciting openings you can get. When I normally play the Dragon Defence, occasionally I play the Najdorf as well, but my theory is a little bit behind on the Najdorf. You know, GingerGM have produced, I think, a 10-hour 2-part DVD set on the Dragon. So if you want to learn the Dragon, and Simon is taking up the challenge, then buy the DVD. Buy the DVDs. It's very cheap in the shop. I think it's only £10 for 10 hours, and it goes into a lot of depth, those openings, very intense opening depth. So I'm going to take on d4 when the normal move is knight takes d4. Queen takes d4 has been played against me before as well. That's a bit of a sideline. Simon not going for the dragon, obviously fearing the GingerGM preparation, and going for this sideline with queen takes d4. One thing I may have done, actually, if I was being clever, after the move d4 earlier, I could have tried knight to f6 here, which aims to avoid this line. Maybe we can talk about that after the game. But here, I can continue with the main line, bringing the knight out, attacking his queen. And now white's main move is bishop to b5. I'll just shut the window. Even though it's lovely hearing the birds singing outside, maybe not when we're trying to concentrate on the game. So Simon has pinned my knight. That means his queen can remain in the centre of the board. And again, this is all theory. And the recommended move now is bishop d7. I break the pin. I threaten to capture Simon's queen on d4, pretty much forcing him to give up the bishop pair. And I do gain the bishop pair. That's not a... Oh, he hasn't played that. So he's played queen d3, which is a move I'm certainly not aware of. The main move is bishop takes c6. Now, I could force him to give up the bishop pair, probably with the move a6, when he'll have to take there. I could also just play a normal developing move like knight to f6. Maybe Simon's going to go for the move c4, trying to get a Maroczy bind. I mean, it kind of seems that I don't need to force him to take on c6 yet. Why give his bishop a kick at the moment? I'm always going to have that possibility to play a6, so I don't need to force it. And if I don't play a6 straight away, it gives me more ideas, maybe like knight to b4. So let's develop a piece. And I always like developing my knights before my bishops. The only problem piece I now have is my bishop on f8. Do I try to put it on g7 or do I put it on e7? This is what I'm thinking now. Before I come up with any, strong attacking ideas, middle game plans, I really want to do something with this bishop. Well, with his last move, bishop g5, Simon is making my decision a bit easier because I don't want to play g6 because he'll take on f6 and I have to take with my e pawn. And that looks really ugly. It gives my pawns a really ugly look. So instead, I don't need to play a6, but I do need to get castled. In order to do that, I need to get this bishop out. It's not going to g7. It needs to come to e7. So I need to move my e pawn. I don't like moving my e pawn 2 squares in this particular position because that will lose control of the d5 square. Simon's a great positional player. So I'm going to move it 1 square because then I don't give away this outpost on d5. I don't want to give him this beautiful square for his knight on d5. So I'm just going to keep all these squares controlled with my pawns and try to finish my development. So Simon's developed knight to c3, and I'm now going to, I think, do the same with bishop to e7. That looks like my #1 move. I should maybe also just bear in mind I have knight b4 and knight e5 here. Are these decent options? Well, knight e5 takes, pawn takes. I'm not sure about that one. I think what I'm going to have to do is go bishop e7, and if he castles, then go a6. And when he takes here, go bishop takes c6. When he can take on f6, but then there's a standard pawn sack line, and that looks quite safe for me. So let's go for that. I don't want to do two. I don't want to really consider these ideas of moving the same piece twice in the opening. Moving the same piece twice in the opening can really backfire until I've got my king castled. And I'm only 1 move away from completing the opening stage where I've controlling the centre a bit, developed my pieces and castled. But I do need to be aware here, now that he has castled, there's some pressure against d6, that he might be taking on f6 here. Ideally, I want to take with a bishop. So I don't want to allow queen takes here unless I have a good answer. I'm going to stick with my plan of going a6, which is going to encourage Simon to take here. Because if he retreats the bishop, I have b5. And I'll be very happy to do that. Because when a castle on opposite sides of the board anyway, and my opponent will be losing a lot of tempo, and Simon's not going to allow that. Tempo is more important than the bishop pair here. Because with castle on opposite sides, you don't want to lose time. Now, the move I've got to always watch out for in these positions is e5. This would open up the d file. I don't trust pawn takes c6. Positionally, that'd be a better idea, but I don't trust pawn takes there e5. There's something very suspicious about that. I'm going to play bishop takes because now if he plays e5, I can swap on e5, and if a lot of pieces come off the board, the more pieces that come off the board, generally, as a general rule, the stronger the bishop pair becomes. So if he does play e5, I will take on e5, probably. I mean, there is another option of moving my knight to d5, but I'll probably take on e5, go for mass exchanges, and I would have gained an equal position there. I'm pretty confident about that. So knight to this square is the main move. Now, another line we could have looked at there was bishop takes f6, when I would have gone bishop takes f6 and sacrificed my pawn on d6. But then again, I get the bishop pair, and I can take on c3 later on, doing his pawn structure a lot of damage. Now, now I could castle, of course. What other moves can I play here? Well, if I can go queen c7, that's also a main move. I think queen c7 I'm getting more attracted to. Now, if he goes takes on d6, takes, rook takes d6, bishop takes c3, pawn takes, rook to c8, attacking c3. How's that going to be? King to b2. I'm a pawn down, but his pawns are bad. I don't know, maybe I should be castling. If I castle, he's going to go f4 probably. He sort of tricked me a little bit in the opening by his quite crafty move order of not taking on c6 straight away. I think if I go here, if he takes here, maybe then I take with a pawn. If he takes there, maybe I take with a pawn. I keep all my pawns in the center. I want to put my queen on c7. Why am I playing this move? Number one, to get it off the d file. Number two, I want to control e5 more. So when he tries f4 and e5, which is one of his standard plans, and remember in chess, you've always got to be aware of your opponent's main ideas and you've got to aim to stop them. And number three, I'm guarding my bishop. So I may be able to play b5 now at some point, and my bishop doesn't drop because I'm defending my bishop, and start a queenside attack. So hence why I'm putting my queen here. I mean, if I want to go super solid here, I could consider castling queenside, because positionally I should be doing okay in the long run. I've got no weaknesses. I've got some, my bishops could be good. I've got an extra central pawn. And this is the thing with a Sicilian pawn structure. If you played a Sicilian, I was taught earlier on that if you ever get into an ending in the Sicilian, your extra central pawn should give you a better ending. And that of course, is quite a generalization, but it's worth thinking about pawn structures at every point in the game. So Simon's going h4, typical aggressive move, and he's going to use Harry against me. He's going to try to use this pawn to weaken my kingside structure. Now I have a choice of castling queenside or kingside. Now if I castle queenside, let's have a look what could happen if he takes on c6. I've got to be aware of him taking here, and trying to take here. That's the only concern, and I know this from experience that you need to be, prepared for. So, okay, so castles, let's say does that. Takes here, queen takes here, bishop takes, queen takes this pawn here. Now, I could go queen takes queen, rook takes queen, take here, pawn takes, but I'm not sure about that. Should I be going rook c8 first to really make sure I'm covered there? Well, I want a castle, so I'm going to try to make castling work. Castling takes, queen takes here, and he picks up a pawn. Do I have a good response there? If my rook's on c8, I would have a good response. I'd just have bishop takes c3, because then if he takes on c6, I can take with a queen. So I'm now thinking rook to c8 is a good move to play, because I'm getting this pressure here and I'm stopping one of his main ideas. So I think I'm going to go for rook c8. This can't be a bad idea. I have a half open file, meaning there's no pawns in my way. So I have a half open file. It's not a completely open file because my opponent has a pawn here. But when you have a half open file, you obviously want to put pieces that work in a straight line, the rook and the queen, on that open file. And maybe later on I will get some threats against this. Now I could have castled queenside there, but sod that, it's boring. We don't want to do, we want to do the most exciting moves. Castling queenside, not as exciting as castling on the other side of the board, when we will have a lot of violence, because it's going to be, a slash fest, a chess slash fest, should we say. Okay, so f3, and Simon now just giving a bit of extra protection there. Maybe I was threatening some tactics on e4, I don't know. But now I'm pretty sure I should be castling, because if he takes on c6, takes this one, I can take on c3. Let's just calculate that. Queen takes here, rook takes, pawn takes here, rook takes, rook d7, rook c8. Okay, and I get enough pressure against c2. So I complete my development. Maybe if I get one more move, I'll put my rook on d8 to guard this one a bit more. And also, a main idea in Sicilian positions is to play the move d5. I mean, I've completed my development, so my plans are now maybe one more useful move, get that rook ready for any opening. And then I'm going to be trying to do d5 and b5, b4. So I get my own play going on that area of the board. If Simon plays h5 here, I think I want to meet it with h6 to stop his pawn in the tracks. And also to gain a tempo because I'll force his bishop to move. Later on, he'll be able to go g4, g5, but that takes him a lot of time to do. And hopefully I will have generated enough attack on the queen side here. So maybe now Mr. Ansell is thinking about this capture here, and capture on d6. But because I've got my rook on c8, I'm pretty confident I'll be at least equal in those positions. The endgame positions, the pawn structure, when I take on c3, if you can foresee that, will be beneficial to me because my opponent will have pawns on these squares. So he will have 3 pawn islands, if you know what those are. We'll explain it again a bit later. But 3 pawn islands when they can't defend each other. On the other hand, I will have 2 pawn islands. And generally, it's better to have, you know, less pawn islands than your opponent. Okay, so now again, I could go b5 here, or I could just go rook d8. Now, do I need to go rook d8? It's a move I might not want to play because it wastes a bit of time. But I'm also considering this. Okay, I think I want to go b5. So let's now check. Does it change anything? b5. The only thing I've got to watch out for: knight takes c6, queen takes, bishop takes here, queen takes d6, bishop takes c3, queen takes c6, rook takes c6, pawn takes c3, rook takes c3, rook d6, something like that maybe. Rook here, rook takes a6, rook takes c3. And well, it's not as I don't know, that maybe is okay for him because rooks are a bit more active after rook c1. His rook on a6 is good. So b5 takes here. Do I have a good move there? Can I just maybe keep the queens on, queen c4 or queen b7? Queen b7, e5 is a frustrating move, getting very complex there. Rook d8. Rook d8 is good because I might win the e5 pawn, and I can maybe go for this pawn sacrificial idea. Well, he can move his knight there. Look, I don't know. I mean, I mean, if I had more time, I'd play this, but I'm going to stop once and for all this idea. So I'm going to move my rook here. You know, if you're not sure, sometimes it's best just to play a move that, you know, I mean, I don't want to get too short time because I want to save that for later on. And this must be a good move because when I play d5, if I play d5, it becomes a stronger move. And often in the Sicilian, things will open up on the d file, so my rook will be okay placed here. But I really now I'm going to play b5 first. I want to kick his knight on c3 to a worse square. His knight on c3 is an annoying piece because before I play d5, I kind of think I want to get rid of that knight because his knight can, you know, pressurize the d5 square. So my main plan now is b5, b4 to start a queenside attack to dislodge the knight on c3. When that knight moves away, then play d5 because then if he takes on d5, so when I do play this, if his knight's not on c3, I can recapture on d5 with my knight, for example, and my knight on d5 will be a fantastic piece and my opponent will not be able to swap off on that square. So this is my main idea, push the pawn up the board. Now, of course, Simon can get rid of my bishop pair by taking on c6, but that is a nice knight. He's got a nice knight in the centre of the board, and I think, you know, at this level of title player versus title player, you will always see players keeping the tension because it gives them more possibilities. You know, only release the tension if you have a specific idea in mind. Now, the way I'm thinking here is really the way you should be thinking in all your games. You should have a reason that you can explain in a YouTube video to the viewer for each move. This is what you've got to be thinking. In order to become a better player, have a reason for your moves. So you should be able to verbally explain it all, because that proves you actually have a plan. And there's so many players, you know, I've taught, like I've said many times in my past, which play moves where they don't actually have a plan. You know, I ask them, why did you play that? And they said, well, the piece, I'm developing the piece. And I'm like, okay, that's half a plan, but why are you developing it to that square? What are you doing later on? What is that piece's role later on? You've got to try to have an idea, you know, a deep idea, you know, a real reason for every move you play. Okay, so Simon now thinking what to do, because, you know, he needs to think of a plan here. If he doesn't think of a plan, he's going to be well aware of my idea of pushing on the queen side. I've got a simple plan. So if I was white here, I'd be thinking, can I get this in time? It's going to be a bit of a race situation. So what's he played? Okay, well, you can see Simon realizes that my b pawn is coming, so he moves his knight out the way. Now, does that allow me this d5 move straight away? So d5, knight takes c6. I can even go pawn takes c6 there. I can maybe even save my bishop now if I want to, but I don't. I mean, he's maybe, what is Simon trying to do? I think Simon might be trying to take here and bring the other knight to d4. But am I worried? I mean, I'm taking with the pawn. So d5 is a move I really want to play here, d5. So d5. Now, if pawn takes pawn, even bishop takes is going to be excellent. So d5, knight takes pawn, pawn takes, getting a very nice pawn structure. I'm not worried about him taking on a6 because that will open up lines towards his king. And if he moves his other knight to d4, because I have a c-pawn, I can kick that away. So d5, this typical Sicilian break, must be the right move. Now, can he meet that with e5? That is another typical sacrificial idea. If queen takes e5, bishop f4, embarrassing my queen. So here, e5, I'd have to then move my knight somewhere passive, like knight to d8. Do I want to allow that idea, knight to d8, when he's got a nice pawn on this square then? Interesting idea. Well, I'm not sure I do, really. I don't know if I want to do that. My time is getting a bit low. So d5, e5 would be an excellent idea. I know Simon is an excellent player, so he'd be thinking of that. Where knight here is kind of what he wants, isn't it? So you know what? I'm actually going to play bishop to e8. And the reason I'm playing this is it avoids any of my opponent's ideas of swapping off my bishop. It opens up ideas against c2. In some, maybe in some variations, I can play e5 and bishop b5 to dislodge his queen, try to get through here. And now I'm going to maybe play b5 first and keep this idea of... The reason I didn't want to play d5, I was worried about him playing e5, which is probably okay for me, but only okay. I don't know, maybe this, I'm not sure if this is the right idea or not. But it can also help me defend my king later on. This bishop will have potential later on in the game. It's not a terrible square for the bishop. I'm opening up the file, I'm just tucking it away for later on in the game. And I think I just want to push my pawns on the queen side. You know, let's get a... I mean, the typical way you open up white's king is getting a pawn to b4, getting a pawn to a4, and then playing some move like b3 or a3, so I can, you know, really try to dislodge the defense of my opponent's king. Simon coming at me over on this side of the board, to be expected. And now we're going to have a race. Very exciting. Well, again, d5 here. e5 would be would maybe win the game for him, because my knight now has no good square to go to. So I've got to be aware of that. I think I'm going to be playing this move pretty much whatever. So let's do it. Let's start the pawn storm. He's attacking me. I'm attacking him. We need to storm the enemy's barricades with our pawns. Hence this move b5. I mean, in order to play the move g5, he's going to have to do something with his bishop. So he's either going to have to retreat his bishop, losing a tempo, or he's going to have to take on f6. But if he takes on f6, my bishop will just recapture. I have the bishop pair, and my bishops will be great defenders for my king. And that bishop will be a great attacker, so he won't take on f6. That's a dubious idea. So I'm still asking him the question how he's going to play this. Maybe knight g3, try to bring the knight to h5. If he plays the move h5, I've got to think whether I play h6 or not. You always have to be very careful playing pawn moves in front of your king, because those pawn moves become exposed, they become a target to attack. So if I ever play h6, it will always give him possibilities of when he plays the move g5 of opening up my position because he can capture on h6. If he plays g5 in these types of positions, I've got nothing to worry about because he's not opening up my position. So I'm a little bit, you know, I'm a little bit 50-50 whether I play this pawn move. I've actually just seen a very interesting idea for me as well here. Can I play knight d7? No, I can't. I wanted to play knight d7 to transfer my knight to the c4 square, a typical square for your pieces. This square here, when you're playing the Sicilian as black, this highlighted square is often where you want to get a piece to. But if I play knight d7, my idea was bishop takes e7, and then I was going to go knight e5, attacking his queen, trying to give me time to take back. But I've realised then he has bishop takes d8, attacking my queen, and he'll win a piece. So I've got to discount that idea from my analysis. So what's my next move here? Maybe even queen c5 is a very clever move. Because if I put my queen on c5, my queen is a little bit more active, but I'm also sort of defending sideways. Because with my queen on c5, it makes him harder to ever push with h5. And I can also then support the move a5 without allowing knight takes b5. Now, I don't know if I'm worried about, let's say, a5, knight takes b5, because sometimes you want to give one of your pawns on the area of the board you're attacking to open up a line. Now, what about b4? Well, b4, if he takes there, then I go rook a8. I'm not even going to analyse that. I get an open a file to attack on. I mean, surely that must be okay. I suppose he's always got knight c1, which is a very defensive move there. But I'll consider this. I don't know. Let's see what he's going to do. Simon needs to think of a plan. But while he's doing that, I'm not going to worry too much about his plan, because it's more important for me in this sharp position to make sure I have a way to put the pressure on him. Wow, he's taken on f6. Well, that is a very controversial move. I mean, I said he wasn't going to play it. He's played it. I'm obviously not going to take with my pawn. That would do a lot of damage to my position. I have to take with my bishop. And is his idea just to gain some tempo? It is. Okay. Well, very interesting idea there. He just wants to gain tempo with his pawns. If I move my bishop back, he can go g6. I feel my bishops are going to be great defensive pieces here. But Simon's done this. He's done an anti-positional idea to gain tempo to attack me. Now, I think I'm going to keep this bishop. I don't want to take here because his knight will just recapture. I'm going to keep my bishop. I don't want to go to here because of f4, so I'm going to keep my bishop. And I'm going to hope that these guys come to life later on in the game. If he plays h5, I will take on g5. If he plays, a typical idea would be g6 here for Simon. Then I will probably take on g6, h5, and do that. Okay, so Simon is just getting ready to push with h5 and g6, attacking me. Now, one thing I'm seriously consider doing here is swapping queens off. Then his attack will become a lot less worrying, and, you know, with the queens off the board. So I know you could say it's a bit of a bailout, but, you know, you have to just play the right moves for the positions, because he's coming quite quickly now. I'm not that scared at the moment, but I might be soon. So queen c4 is an obvious move. Another idea I'd like to play is d5. Let's calculate d5 because it's more dynamic. d5, pawn here, pawn takes here, queen takes e4, and I've opened up my rook, and I can play then e5, attacking his knight, knight to f5, give him a lovely square there. Let's have a look. So pawn here, h5, and then if I take on e4, knight, queen takes e4, and he's just about defending everything in that area of the board. e5, knight f5, and well, I don't want to allow his knight to. I don't want to allow his knight to this square. This is a fantastic square for his knight. I don't want to do that. So does queen here help me? I think I'm gonna play the right positional idea. I've got a lot of faith in my endgame positions, because structurally my bishops should come to life later on. That these have a lot of potential later on. So I'm kind of thinking endgames. I'm all right with the endings. Now, as I said in the Sicilian, you know, basic rule is endings are pretty good. Now here, I can certainly consider the move e5 now because c2 will drop. So e5, knight f5, queen takes c2. But it's only a check, king here. So maybe not the right way to do this. I kind of want my bishop on this square now so I can come to e6. Do I even play the really weird move, bishop d7, so that I can threaten my idea of e5? And if he comes knight f5, I can at least get rid of that one. The other idea is d5 here. So d5, h5. And, well, okay. I should be looking at e5 more though, shouldn't I? e5, knight here. Queen takes here, king here. And he's got rook c1 coming. I don't like that. Instinctively, I don't like that. d5, h5. Got to be careful of my time. Well, bishop d7, I create this threat or idea. I'm going to play this, I think. I'm going to play this one. I don't know. Is this correct? I'm not sure. Let's do this one. I'm running out of time. So the idea, of course, is now to play e5 when I cover f5. And also my bishop wants to come to e6 when I can start threatening him here. Very dynamic position, very dynamic Sicilian position here with interesting chances of both of us here. So I don't know. Is Simon now going to play g6? Well, if he plays g6 now, that could be a really scary move actually. I take and then he goes h5. Well, I have the move g5 there, trying to keep things blocked. But then he goes rook takes g5. That's scary. That is scary. g6 is actually now worrying me somewhat. If he plays g6, well, maybe then I just put my bishop back on f6. That's a typical defensive idea. If he takes on f7, I have king takes. My bishop on f6, as I mentioned earlier, does a great defensive and attacking role. So I think against g6, I won't get involved with taking that one when he goes h5 and his rooks will suddenly come open. I will just try to play bishop g6 and try to contain it. But I have to come up with something after h5 then. Well, then I go h6. And hopefully I'm defending everything there. I want to keep the position closed where my king is. Keep it closed where the king is. So Simon in a deep thought here. Is he maybe knight f4 is an idea? This is another idea. Knight f4. Knight f4, e5, knight d5, pawn takes d4, knight takes e7 check, king f8 when my king can probably take his knight there. So you know, this is just about okay, I feel. Knight to f4 is a move that you'd want to play as white here. But I think e5 is working for me, and this is my blow. And now I want to play this move e5. If the knight comes here, well, at least I can eliminate that knight. I mean, even that I'm not 100% convinced about because he takes with a pawn, and his pawns are very strong. Maybe another thing I could do, just as a little waiting move, is to drop my bishop back to f8. It's a good defensive square. And then if he ever plays knight to f5, he's not gaining an important tempo. Okay, so he's played this move, which I'm happy to see. He was worried about me taking on c2. Maybe he shouldn't have been worried about that. Now, my first instinct here is, of course, b4, opening up here. But then is his idea to go b3, and if my queen moves c4, maybe that's his idea in that position. So very interesting. Here, if I go here, knight to f5, bishop takes f5, pawn takes f5. No, let's have a look. Pawn here, queen here, pawn here. And then I have some break, surely. Here, knight to f5. Do I have time to play this slow move? I would need to do something quickly here. Tense position. So b4, b3. Queen here, c4. And then something like here. I need to break it open. Don't see that working. I have this pin here. Can I not use that? Pawn here, knight here. Don't want to swap queens then. Oh, I have bishop takes here, queen takes here. Then I can take there with check, winning a pawn. So here b3, queen c5, c4 here, knight c2 therefore for that reason. But then his knight has gone to a passive square, and I like that. So I'm going to go b4. I can't divvy and daver too much. Bishop f8 seemed a little bit too defensive for me. With this idea of b4, again, it's a pawn storm, fascinating Sicilian position here. Really is highly interesting. Now, Simon, like we mentioned before, what I'm trying to do, he wants to keep his king closed. So he doesn't want to expose things by opening his pawns up. So I'd be very happy here to see him play pawn takes pawn. Because then after queen takes, he's opened up 2 lines. So he'd want to play b3 and c4. He'd want to do this, and he's played it. I'm going to go here straight away. He wants to play this to keep his king as closed as possible. So king here, my tactical idea was e5, knight here, bishop takes, queen, bishop takes here. And this is okay now. It's a very committal move because I weaken this square and this square. But it's very hard for Simon to get a knight to this square because he can't come to c3, I'm controlling that one, and he can't come to f4 because I'm controlling that one. So I've made his knights worse here, but maybe my bishops aren't great either. Now, what do I do here to attack? I want to eventually get my pawn here and open up the A file, but I don't really want to allow these queens to be exchanged, do I? Maybe it's okay if the queens are exchanged, but after pawn takes, he's got knight e3. So that's annoying. You know, he's going to take queens, move his knight to this lovely square. I don't want to allow that to happen. I mean, it might be just about okay for me, but I don't want to allow that. So I'm going to move my queen. The other idea is, do I have a typical move like d5 here? d5 is a typical break. d5, queen takes queen. Don't think it... Well, even that's very interesting. But I'm going to keep the queens on. I can't find a good square, though, because I don't want to allow him to go knight takes pawn and then get his knight to this square. So I'm going to have to put it over here, which I'm not entirely happy about because it gets in the way of this pawn. But I'm going to need to come up with some tactical shots here because now he can continue with his advance and I need to come up with some tactical ideas. So I'm thinking some break like this move may be forced. Maybe my idea was wrong. Maybe he's defended and kept things closed here. What other tactical ideas do I have? Well, bishop e6 and bishop takes c4 is a way to try to force things open over there. d5 is a move that I'm just really attracted to. Pawn takes c takes d5, maybe then rook takes c2 and queen takes a2 check. d5, I'm more worried about him taking with the e pawn because then he keeps his king side open. So here he's trying to stop all this by putting his bishop here and really stopping it. Well, I'm now gonna have to, I think, go for my plan of bishop here, and I have ideas of this one in the air. The problem with my 2 bishops here, my 2 bishops have become worse as soon as I've played the move e5 because they lose a lot of the dynamism. They were good when I had a d5 move when they could both free up, but now, okay, very interesting exchange sacrifice. He's given up his rook. I'm going to take it to get the light squares. So very interesting idea. I have to take it. I don't think I have any options. And his idea now is to try to come in with the light squares to these two points. So very interesting idea from Simon there. Positional idea. I'm now going to re-offer, I think, the exchange of queens. But even then, he might take it. When rook takes, he takes in. Pawn takes, I just don't like the look of. It seems wrong to take with a pawn. He's got these lovely squares. I need to get counterplay going with a5 here. a5, a4 is my one break. Okay, well, the other idea is to try to bring my bishop actually to b6. That would be a nice idea. That's a good idea, isn't it? Let's go rook e8. And this can prepare the only other possible break I have, which is pawn to e4. And maybe now my bishop can try to get around to b6. So, of course, Simon's come into the square. Do I keep it defensive or do I try to make it more active? That's the question. Well, bishop here, knight to f5, or knight here, attacks this pawn. And then I go bishop b6. His queen moves. Is my bishop really doing anything here? No, I need to keep it here. Because, you know, when he does open up my king, my bishop has to be here to protect things. So I really must get this pawn going now. He's played this very well. This sacrifice, very interesting idea. He's got me a little bit concerned here because I'm lacking any play, aren't I? I think I'm going to have to try. This is another thing that I'm good at doing generally. When the tide is changing against me, I realise I have to go desperate. And I realise I have to do something desperate. I think a lot of people wouldn't be willing to give up the b4 pawn. But look, if I don't do anything, he's going to just improve over here. So I'm going to sacrifice, do my own sacrifice, just to try to open him up somehow on this area of the board. But I'm not even clear this is working. Now, I want to resack here. If I go here, he's going to go b4, keep things closed over there. So what about queen b7? Knight takes here, queen here. Then are my rooks coming to life? My bishop is terrible. His knights are dominating. Okay. Well, he's played very well here. He's played very well. This has not gone the way I want it to. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to try to resack to get rid of that knight, then start something. But I'm just worried about him putting his pawn on h6 here. And then coming in here. This is very scary. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, I'm a little bit surprised about that one. Because now this square is weak. So I don't think he needed to do that. Because when I went a4, he's always going to go b4. So I think this was a slight error. It gives me now a chance to resack, get rid of his knight. And it then gives me b3. I really don't think he needs to do that. I think he should have just pushed Harry. Never a mistake to push Harry up the board. I'm going to have to get rid of this knight, I feel. It's too strong. Yeah, I'm going to get rid of that one. I could still be worse here. Because Simon is now going to just try to play on the d file. My bishop has not found any life in this game, has it? Maybe I should have got desperate and pushed with d5 earlier on. I'm fully expecting rook to d1 now. Otherwise, I'm going to play d5. If I can play d5 here, I could be better. So he's going to stop me playing that. He wants to meet that with rook takes d5. So if he goes rook d1, d5, rook takes d5, anything there for me? Nope. This knight is dominating my bishop. It's such a strong piece. So rook d1, trying to keep control. I have to try something with rook here and try to do something. But I've gone into defensive mode here, which I don't like doing, obviously. So I'm going to do this, try to get some activity. But again, I'm not happy about my position. And he's dominating all my squares. This is really quite nasty now. Very nice game from Simon. Not have much bloody luck at these long play games, am I? This is, you know, I've had no fun in the long play games at the moment. Simon played an excellent game though, so I'm not going to be too bloody critical. What am I doing here? Well, do I have to go passive and defend this one? I want to get this bishop in the game. I'm running out of time. Let's play this one. He may well just take my pawn. My one idea left is to get my bishop into d4. That piece is such a crap bishop. I went defensive. Could have been a big mistake. So rook takes here, bishop here, bishop here, bishop here. Giving up another pawn, but going for a desperate last punt here over on the queen side. And of course the time's a bit low, so I can try to rely on getting some tricks there. He's not going for any of that. He's trying to swap off, keep control of the position. And I'm going to try and get this d5 move in. Simon's stopping that. What else do I play here? Well, now I'm going to try to get my queen around the back. So I'm going for any desperate attempt at getting counterplay. I'm really looking for desperate ways to get counterplay in this position. And, you know, I hate defending passively. And now he's trying to come in with his rook here. So queen here, rook here. That looks quite nasty. Well, my whole bloody position looks nasty, doesn't it? I'm gonna have to go for it and hope I don't get crushed, which I might do. Rook here, king to f8. Not the move I want to play, but I can't defend passively. The best way to defend is actively, because at least if I lose now, I've lost with activity, and at least I'm making him think a little bit in this position. At least by playing the most active defence I can, is knight takes here a winner. Rook takes, rook b8 check. Flipping hell that is, isn't it? Knight takes d6 would be a beautiful way for Simon to finish a beautiful game here. No? I have a check. Do I have a check when I pin his king? Knight takes d6 is very scary, but I think I can get away with checking him. If his king ever comes to a3, then I can take with a bishop. But knight takes here is a very scary move. He's getting short of time. I manage it at least. Okay, so now I can check. I'm going to go for the check. If I'd have taken that one, he has rook b8 check. If I take with a bishop, he has mate. So my idea now is crumbled a little bit at the end. But you see what I've done, even though my position was pretty diabolical, I've gone for the most active defense that I can. Now, I don't know if this is okay, but at least I've given myself chances. You know, I've given myself chances. Had I defended in any other way, I'd have lost pathetically. So always go for active defense. At least if you lose then, you can lose in style. And the other thing is, if you just cause as many problems for your opponent. Now, it looks to me like this is probably now a draw. By the way, we don't always say, right, whatever happens is going to be a draw. This has been a fascinating game. I think I've just about managed to swindle a draw. But can I try to win this one? Well, is there any way I can win this? If I take with the bishop there, I'm threatened with mate. I'm going to just give him another check, gain a bit of time. I can't see any way to not get a draw. I have to, if I take the rook b8 check, can I stop that ever? No, I'm running out of time. It looks like a draw is going to be the most likely result. Simon's now having a think to see if he can win this position in any way. But what a great, I mean, this is a great game. This is a great game. And I think now we're going to have to, I just can't see any way to play on. Can you guys see any way to play on? I could give this check. Oh no, because then he might even better move to the d file. Because rook takes here, he still has this check. I think I have to take the draw. There's no other option. Okay, we'll offer him a draw. Whew. What a game that was then. That was a fascinating game though. I mean, Simon played bloody well there, I have to say. What an inspired sacrifice. Why does he always play so well against me? Well, we'll find out in a minute. Let's get him on Skype. Well played, Simon. I mean, we're going to analyze this game. He's saying grrr. We're going to analyze this game without the computer. Why use the computer? You've got a GM and an IM using their faults. We're going to explain it verbally. No point using the computer. Let's get him on, shall we? So hopefully you'll be able to hear Simon's talk, and let's give him a bell now. But it was a lucky escape there for myself, and we're just trying to give him a ring. Obviously, I haven't set up the thing as beautifully as I could have done, but okay. You were lucky there, Si.
Lucky. Hang on, it's a bit dark there. Let me
Yeah, go and switch a light on, mate. Oh, yeah, lucky escape for you, mate.
I didn't see I couldn't go to A3 with the king. I thought
yeah. I mean, well, I was actually saying, Si, that I totally outplayed you, and you got a bit lucky at the end. No, I didn't really. I actually said that you outplayed me, and you played a bloody good game there, Simon. Don't you think?
Rook d5 was quite a nice idea, wasn't it? I don't know.
Rook d5 was.
I don't know whether it was necessary, but
Well, Si, I'll tell you what. We've got you on Skype now, so everyone can see you, and
yeah.
I'm okay. Well, people can see you. Okay, I haven't. By the way, everyone watching this video at home, I haven't framed it as beautifully as I could have, so sorry about that. But you can see Simon, and what we're going to do now, Si, if we go through the points of the game, do you want to just give? I mean, I gave most of my thoughts during the process of the game, so now I think it would be a good idea for everyone to get your impression and what you thought at moments during the game. So I'll click on the moves if you tell us what move number and what you're thinking, for example, any point. So yeah, Si, take us through what you thought basically.
Okay, I mean the opening was fairly normal, I guess, for this queen takes d4. I used to play this occasionally, this queen d4. I don't think it's very good, but I mean, I don't really play open Sicilians, and I just wanted to do something different against you. Yep. There was, from my point of view, there was one point, let me see if I can find it, where I had to make a decision whether to play positionally or whether to go for the attack.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was yeah, it was after you went Queen C4. So
Okay. Let's have a look. So we'll keep going here.
that
And
move 19. Yeah.
yeah, I'm just going through the moves quickly, just seeing if there's any points. I mean, maybe I shouldn't have
Yeah,
played
I mean,
stuff.
I've kind of glossed over the opening, but
Yeah.
I guess there's quite a lot to talk about in this game. So
I think there is quite a lot to talk about. I mean, in the opening, I mean, it looked like we all played natural moves. I'm a bit suspect, Simon, about my move Bishop E8. It just looks a bit slow now. Maybe I should have played like. What would you done if I'd have played D5 on move 15 instead of Bishop to E8? That maybe.
D5. Oh yeah, this is an important point. Yeah. I should have
15. Yeah.
I should have stopped here because my last move, knight C2, was kind of directed against D5.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure.
Maybe I should play this anyway.
Well, okay, I assume you realise I was planning to go E5, right?
Yeah, I assumed you play E5, and now.
Then
I mean,
Queen takes.
I didn't consider taking, but can I? I mean, I just thought taking looked suicidal. Can I take it? Let's have a look. Can I take it?
Well, I don't know. Yeah, this is the thing. You can take it.
Oh, right.
Probably. I get F4, and you have to put the queen on a stupid square like
H5.
5. Yeah, and then I can go G4. I was planning G4, Queen G6, and then just moving the queen somewhere. I don't know whether E3 or D2.
Let's say E3, Queen E3.
Yeah.
And now, can I play...
Your queen is in some trouble, but you can play like something like H5, maybe. I don't know.
H5, yeah. And I didn't even look at this critical line. I just
I mean, I assumed you probably wouldn't bounce it. But,
it's not really my style to go defensive, but this is maybe a
mistake
in my game.
H5, maybe something like Bishop F5, Bishop E5, and then Knight F4, and I'm going to get an attack basically.
Yeah,
so
you're going to get some initiative, aren't you here? So, yeah.
But it might be possible for you to do this.
Yeah. And after E5 side, if I just go knight to E8, is that really bad for me? I thought
honestly, I don't know, but I mean, I would have been happy with the structure because just with the knight on D4 and
my bishop on C6 is bad, yeah.
Yeah, it's not easy for you to generate an attack. So I mean, it might be. I mean, I guess it's probably playable for you, but
yeah, sure. But okay, well, I mean, I assumed you would play E5, and I didn't really want to go on defensive in these positions, so I didn't consider that was on move 15.
Yeah.
But I mean, I kind of feel that Bishop E8. I mean, I think I should be playing like B5 or something. Bishop E8 a little bit slow, and now you play G4. I continue with B5. Looks logical enough. And here, I have to say, I was surprised you took on F6, but I think it's an excellent move in hindsight because
I didn't see how else I was going to get my kind of attack going. So I considered like retreating the bishop either to E3 or C1, but then you can probably go D5. And
yeah, now I play D5. Yeah. And
so I didn't see how else I was going to generate any play. I considered like maybe going knight F4 here.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just show everyone after bishop B3 side D5. I'll just show what the difference is if you play E5 now. The difference now is that Simon doesn't have a bishop on G5, so my knight on F6 can go to a much better square on D7, where it has great potential to fly into the game. So that's why that line is okay for me. So sorry, Simon, go on. So that's
sorry. Hang on, I've got to hit refresh on the
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, well, So I was saying, if I retreated the bishop, you can probably play D5. And the only other, I mean, I didn't see what else I was doing. I want to get the attack going.
Yeah.
And the other move I considered briefly was knight F4.
Yeah.
17, move 17, because you can't play E5 due to bishop takes F6, right?
Bishop takes F6, then you have lovely square for knight.
And I'm introducing ideas of knight takes E6. I don't know whether, but I mean, I just thought you're going to go queen C4.
Yeah. Okay.
Then I mean, maybe if I try and keep the queens on, you can then go E5 possibly. So I might be forced to take the queens off, in which case black is absolutely fine. So I didn't really.
Yeah.
I didn't really see any other alternative to give up this bishop, which is.
Yeah, I mean, it actually seemed to work out pretty well. I mean,
I mean, you have to go back and you're a bit passive. As long as I don't kind of overextend and let these bishops, get active. But
because I played bishop E7.
That also means I'm going to be worse in pretty much every endgame. So I wasn't entirely happy about it, to be honest, but it seemed to work out. So
yeah, I mean, let's have a look. So rook DG1. And here, I mean, just my fault. Instead of queen c4, I was thinking about d5, but I don't know, maybe
I was expecting d5 actually here.
I was a bit worried that you just go h5 here.
Yeah, that's what I was going to do. Yeah,
h5. Then I take on e4, and you go queen takes e4.
Yeah.
And I couldn't see a good move for myself here, and I just thought, well, I want to play e5, but then knight f5. I couldn't see what I was doing here. Maybe this is what I should do because I'm opening up my bishops, but I need to find a good continuation here. Which
I think I saw this position and I did.
Yeah.
Possibly see a move. I mean, can you go bishop c6 here, maybe?
Maybe
or do I just
c6? Yeah.
Just win.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Just swapping off one of the bishops to just
to relieve the pressure.
Relieve the pressure. Yeah, that looks okay. And of course, if the queens come off, your attack is not scary anymore.
So maybe queen e3 or something.
Yeah, queen e3, and even bishop c5 becomes possible. But I mean, yeah, maybe I should play this site. But let's have a look at the game because the game was incredibly interesting. I mean, after queen c4, which was played, I think you keep the queens on, which is natural. Queen e3, yeah.
Yeah, I have to get the queens on, obviously, because.
And now I can grab on c2, but that didn't seem attractive to me because your knight comes to f5. I didn't like the look of that.
Yeah, eventually I didn't understand bishop t7 at first, and then I kind of realised that you were threatening e5 and queen takes c2. So
yeah,
I mean, I haven't really considered you taking on c2 in this position because, like you say, the knight on f5 is just huge.
Yeah, let's show that. I mean, if I go e5, knight f5, queen takes c2, yeah, I win a pawn with check. But the knight on f5 is horrible, and your other knight may even be coming to d5, rook c1.
Yeah, you're not threatening anything against my king, so it's...
Yeah, this is bad for me. Just grabbing that pawn, I haven't got enough to attack. So if we just go back, and that's why I played bishop d7, and here, well, just c3 was kind of the way you played it was kind of.
Yeah, well, this is the moment I jumped ahead of myself to when we. Started the conversation because after bishop d7, I realised you are threatening e5 now, right? And taking on c2, I think.
I'm probably going to go here, take on f5, take on c2, take on f5. Yeah.
So I spent quite a long time looking at going h5.
Yeah.
Then after e5.
Yeah.
Just going g6, right?
Right. Yeah.
Then if you take on d4.
Yeah.
I think I can actually go h6 here.
Wow. Wow.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I was looking at it because if you take my queen,
this is a lovely line. Pawn takes queen.
It just doesn't work. So.
Pawn takes queen. What were you going to just show this line first?
Yeah, pawn takes queen. G takes h7, right?
Yeah, and it's mate. I'm getting mated because if I go to f8 or to h8, you take here. Let's just show that king h8. Pawn takes pawn mate. Oh, and if I go king takes h7, pawn takes g7, and now king to g8, rook to h8 mate. That's a bit scary. So
it is. Yeah, you can also flick in queen takes c2 check, but I don't think it makes any difference.
Maybe it doesn't make any difference. Unless I've got.
But the thing is, after h6, you can just play. I think you can just take on g6, which is really annoying. So
f takes g6. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I also considered after if you go back and move, he takes d4, and then just taking back the knight on d4.
Yeah.
So I'm sacking the whole piece, and I didn't really believe this, to be honest.
No.
So, yeah, so I couldn't make this work.
Okay.
So I just went c3 and kind of hope for the best. But
yeah, c3, and then I mean let's just go forwards a little bit. c3. I don't know if b4 is correct because you got this nice blockade, but after knight c2, maybe even e5 was a mistake for me. Do you think maybe I shouldn't go e5 side? Maybe I should play a5 first because
e5 was a bit surprising to me, but
yeah, I thought I could.
I am going to be pretty quick.
You are pretty quick, yeah.
h5 and g6. So.
But maybe instead of e5, I should just punt a5 and just try to get my own attack going with a4 and just risk this because in the game I didn't like it in the game. Maybe
yeah, you are going to generate some threats, aren't you? It's just going to be who gets there quicker.
Who gets there first? Yeah, very interesting position. I prefer a5. Looking at it in hindsight, e5 seems.
You can always. I mean, I guess you can always play e5 on the next move or something, can't you?
That's right.
Or maybe.
It's too committal. Because the problem after I play e5, Simon, knight c2, is that now you have two plans. You don't just have to try to checkmate me. You can actually play positionally as you did.
Yeah.
And let's go to your position where you played rook d5. So what was the idea behind rook d5?
Well, to be honest, I don't think it's entirely necessary because I'm probably doing quite well anyway, right? But I was just a bit... I mean, I know what you're like, and I was expecting you to bang out bishop takes c4 at some stage or something.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure you probably mentioned on your...
I might have mentioned that on my side, yeah.
Yeah, so let's just have none of that crap.
And William, stop all the play.
Yeah. I mean, I'm getting positionally, I'm doing very well after the exchange set. With my knights, have got some great squares.
Yeah,
I'm going to have all the fun for the rest of the game, even if I lose the end game.
And also, my bishop's just terrible here, yeah? My bishop is absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe what I should have done after rook e8, knight g3, maybe I should have just tried bishop to d8, but I don't know. It looks very good for you even then. My bishop's not doing anything on b6, is it? So, and I'm assuming you're winning somewhere a bit further on. I mean, let's just go a bit fast forward to, let's say, where I play... You know what I was surprised about? After rook a8, Simon, I was surprised you went a4. I thought if you just go h5, I'm probably completely lost. Because if I ever go a4, I thought you go b4.
This is one of my weaknesses. I tend to be like kind of overly prophylactic, trying to stop the, basically any ideas the opponent has.
Yeah. I think on move 32, if you go h5, I must just be busted.
Is it just really strong? Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Because I've also, there's also stuff like knight f6 check that is very close to working in this kind of position, right?
Yeah, knight f6 check is, it's always hanging in the...
Yeah. So,
but I thought
I just thought, well, I was just trying to kill absolutely all of your counterplay, and I probably took it a bit too far, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean,
A4 isn't a problem. I can always go B4, can't I?
Yeah, you can. I mean, A4 is probably all right, but I think if you just go H5, H6, I mean, you can probably just win the exchange back, and you kind of just winning position. I mean, I think on after A4, I mean, you're still obviously doing well, but I mean, you're in control. Let's say where I sacked the exchange back, I didn't know what else to do. You went rook D1, rook B8.
Yeah, I've just got to stop you going D5 now, and I'm still.
Yeah, you're still doing. I mean, you're still doing very well here. Rook B5, rook D8, queen D3, queen C8. I thought was my only chance to try to get my queen around the backside. Yeah. I mean, that was my one.
I mean, I thought I should be winning it, but
yeah, I think so. I think you should be. I mean, let's have a look. Let's have a look. Where I went queen H3, rook B7, king F8. Is there anything you can do after king F8? I kind of thought.
Well, I mean, there must be lots of things I can do, but
I just thought
this was winning. I just suddenly saw it.
Yeah.
I thought I was winning, and then I didn't realise I couldn't hide my king on A3. So.
Can you win here by going G6? Move 41. Do you go G6 so you've got the A3 square?
Sort of tool. Right, maybe, yeah.
G6 with the idea.
G5, right?
Yeah. So G6.
That's really clever, yeah.
I mean, I might better play. Oh, if I go queen takes F. Well, okay, G6. Let's say I go H takes G6. Now knight to G5.
Yeah.
And for everyone out there watching this, the difference with the game is that Simon's king can now come to the A3 square. So this,
you have queen F5 here?
Queen F5. And now if queen F5, I'm just sort of hanging on, aren't I? It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I don't really deserve to be.
Queen C2 with a perpetual, so he should be.
Yeah. Oh, queen C2. Yeah, good point. So maybe move 41. Because in the game, I think it's a draw. I'm just holding for the draw. But maybe there's not a win here. I don't know. It's interesting. There should be, shouldn't there?
I mean, I should not just play king A3 or something. I mean,
king A3. Can I then just take on F3 though?
You can take on F3, right?
Yeah, take on F3. And I'm pitting that knight down at least.
Yeah, I guess I do. I do have to do something, don't I? So I can't just. I can't just hold it.
Yeah, I mean, this is not so clear, is it? Not so clear.
No, there should be.
Should be something. I agree.
There should be something. Yeah, I mean, maybe I don't know. I was going to suggest like knight D2 or something, but I don't really want to be going backwards. You take H4.
I'll take on H4 and I can start at least taking a bit of material then, can't I?
Yeah, I mean, probably. Maybe I went wrong. Like, maybe queen D5 is not necessary. Maybe it just.
Yeah. Let's go back.
Look, I mean, I can just take the A5 pawn, can't I? If you go back a couple of moves, move 38.
Yeah, just take on A5. That's probably.
Or even just go H5, like you say.
Yeah, or H5.
So I can't believe I played that entire game. I went H4 and about move 15, and I never went H5.
You didn't use Harry to its full capacity.
No, I kind of said hi to Harry, but he didn't.
No, you didn't get out the board. No, but anyway, it was a very interesting game, Simon.
Indeed, yeah.
I'll put it up on YouTube like soon. Well, the time we're speaking, I'll put it up tomorrow because I already put one up today, Simon. But thanks for the game, mate. Anyway, thanks for the game, and hopefully we'll get some good feedback. And I bet, well, we both better do some other work now. But I'll catch you soon. Yes, Si?
Yeah, right, man.
Okay.
Cheers, bye.
Thanks for the game, mate. Bye. So there you go. Interesting game. Simon, I think, played excellently there, to be honest. We both missed a couple of small possibilities, but all in all, I think a very exciting Sicilian game, demonstrating some typical ideas that both sides have in the Sicilian. And you could see that I got myself in a bit of a stuck in the mud there. and I needed to maybe break a bit earlier, but that'd be an interesting one to analyse in more depth as well. But